Welcome to the Stop Over Drinking and Start Living podcast, where high-achieving, goal-oriented rebel women come to learn how to live a vibrant and fulfilling life without requiring alcohol to get through it. No labels, no judgments, no saying you'll never drink again. Just real proven methods to help you stop rebelling against yourself with alcohol so you can drink less and do more. I'm your host, Angela Mascenik. Let's dig in. Welcome to episode 397. Make it beautiful so you want to come back. Well, hello, beautiful people. It is the third week of August, and how are y'all doing? Are you looking forward to maybe kids going back to school? Maybe some of you have dropped off your older children at college. Are you looking forward to settling into more of your fall routine? What's going on in this sort of seasonal shift as summer begins to wind down and fall begins to kick up? Which is very strange because it's very warm here in Portugal and it does not look like fall or feel like fall. But my clients in the U.S. are saying that there are Halloween colored M&Ms and the flowers at the florist or the grocery store are more fall themed. So what's happening? My kids still have another month of summer. So I don't feel like I'm in that transition yet, but I think most of my listeners are at some extent. So I want to know what's going on for you. What do you normally look forward to this time of year? A lot of people tell me they crave just getting back to a regular routine, that they value, consistency and doing the same things and maybe a little bit less travel and a little bit less socializing so they can focus on themselves more. And if that's you and you want to dig into your overdrinking, I want to let you know that I am accepting applications for a fall cohort of the transformational program, which is a weekly small group coaching call between 6 to 8 women where we meet once a week and everybody gets coached and we all work through my deeper dive of my materials in the Stop Over Drinking and Start Living program, where we focus on one theme per month. And at the end of that 6 months together, we gather together in Lisbon at the Magic House for a full immersive week-long retreat where we apply in real time all the things that we've learned and worked through, and we celebrate together. And so if you're interested in joining that fall cohort, you can go to the link and read through the information and get your applications in, and I'm happy to jump on the phone with you if you'd like to discuss that. Okay, so today I'm really excited about this topic because I literally just came back from a yoga class that was profound. I have found my place here in Lisbon. It is called Lila Yoga. It is a 4-minute walk from my door, and it is like the best yoga studio I've ever been to in my life. And the teachers are the best teachers I've ever had in my life. And it doesn't matter what class I go to, it's amazing. And today I actually got to experience a new teacher. His name is Anton Brandt. And I will link up his Instagram so you can follow him if you're interested on Instagram. But he led a beautiful practice, and he was very gentle in opening the practice and getting us into our breath and into our bodies. And just, it was like this loving entry where I knew that the practice itself, once it got going, was going to be pretty intense and challenging, because they all are. And as people say, you make it as challenging as you want to, but I like to make it challenging, and I like to do what everybody else is doing. And so these classes are like a high vibe, pretty intense class where I'm definitely getting stronger and can see my improvements, and I like challenging myself. So I knew that it would be that. Well, he did a beautiful job of the entryway to this class and getting ourselves into our body and into our breath in this very loving and gentle way. And then when it was time, he turned up the heat and he got us going. And then at the end, he gently pulled us out of it. And it was really, really nice and different. And, I feel really good afterwards. At the very, very end of the practice, as we're, doing our Om and giving gratitude to the practice, he said something, and it was, make it beautiful so you want to come back. And now I'm obsessed with this idea, and so I have to record a podcast, okay? I'm fresh out of this yoga class. I had to come down and really come back to my place and explore my thoughts and expand on how I need to teach this to you when you are doing the work to change your relationship with alcohol. And so how we're going to do that, we are going to look at how you've made your relationship with alcohol beautiful, okay? Because it keeps calling you back for some reason. So I want you to think about how you drink or you used to drink. Not actually the drinking part, like the setup to the drinking part. The glass you picked. You probably had your favorite. Did you put ice in the glass? Did you play any music? Think about the setup in which you enjoyed your wine. Maybe you lit a candle, right? So maybe there was a ritual in which you bought the wine or the alcohol or the mixer, right? Like your preferences go into that. And I know we all have our very strong preferences. So think about the moment of that day and the setup to drinking that alcohol. So not only like the physical setup, but what were you thinking about that glass of wine? Oh, I can't wait to have my beautiful glass of chilled rosé that's waiting for me in the refrigerator. It's calling my name. Right? For me, it was a very rich red. It was like layered in complexity, and it was smooth and dry, a little bit sweet at the same time. And it just it had all the right components. Okay, and I love swirling that red glass of wine in my glass and looking at it drip down the sides. And then that pour, right? And then the first sip, all of that build up, right? The ceremony around it. Okay, so you have that image in your head. Now I want you to think about the ceremony and the setup that you're doing to stop your over drinking or to take a break. Where does that happen? This setup that you are working on not drinking. Is it one of your worksheets that you printed a month ago that's got tons of coffee rings on it, or it's been lost in the shuffle, or it's just on your bedside table covered in a bunch of books? Is it a shitty pen from your junk drawer that barely works? Is it 5:45 in the morning when you feel like this is when I'm supposed to do it and you're not even fully awake yet and you might feeling a little resentful, or maybe because you already drank the night before and you feel behind and you're telling yourself you should have done it differently yesterday. So just note the difference. You made wine beautiful, right? And perhaps you're making this work not so beautiful. Maybe it's even a little bit ugly. And then you might be confused about why you keep going back to that beautiful glass of wine. Okay? So the idea here is that we are motivated to return to what has been beautiful for us, or tended to. That's why I keep going back to yoga. And I never really even thought about this until today, but I keep going back there because I feel good at the end of it. I'm not going back. I mean, I do like a hard workout. I like pushing myself. I get dopamine hits from that. But when I really slow down and think about why I'm coming back, is because I feel good afterwards. It really sets the tone of my day. It aligns me. It brings me into the present, and it just feels so good and so whole afterwards. Okay? So we tend to want to do that. We're motivated to feel good, right? And that's not really vanity. Beautiful things are attractive, right? It's a signal. It says something here has been thought about and cared for, right? This has been tended to. There's attention put to this. And so it keeps calling you back. And you already know this in your body. You know the difference between walking into a kitchen with a clean countertop and everything's put away and it's so nice, into walking into one with last night dishes in the sink, shit all over the place, sticky marks on the countertop, right? Food in the sink, same kitchen, completely different feeling. One of them is like, ooh, come on in. What do you want to make today? You have this beautiful open space. And the other one's like, nope, I'm ordering takeout. You turn around and you get out of there. Maybe you go yell at some kids about who didn't clean up after themselves. Okay. Your practice to stop over drinking, think of it as like a room, and you walk into it every single day. So what does it look like when you get in there? And these are all sort of like theoretical questions, okay? I'm not being very literal right now, but notice where your mind goes. So let's just talk about the outside part, right? The literal part. And that's the easy stuff, because we can make it beautiful however we want to, right? We could get into Pinterest and look at how to set up your meditation room, right? And we could spend a lot of time on making this absolutely perfect and like it's in a magazine. But that's not really going to help you, okay? However, getting a nice notebook with nice paper, the one that feels too nice and that like you don't want to waste it on something, that's the one you should use. The one where the pen nicely glides along the paper and you'd be proud to fill it up. Get a pen that you like the weight of. I'm very picky about my pens. I like it to be very fluid. I don't want to have to like press too hard. Okay? Pick your chair. Pick the chair by the window, maybe the most comfortable one. You can really sink into it and relax. And then maybe make your coffee or your tea first and bring it with you. Okay? This is not complicated. And give this your good hour. So your drinking got the end of the day. It got that transition between like 5 p.m. and dinner or dinner to bedtime. This sort of golden hour that you gave it, right? This moment that you all day with your relationship with alcohol have been looking forward to since 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay? Notice what your stop over drinking practice gets. Are you half asleep? Are you stressed out? Are you forcing yourself to sit down or just like scribbling notes just to check a box? Or is it the very end of the day when you're totally fried? So give this work an hour when you actually have something in the tank, okay? When you have some energy left. And then make it small. 10 minutes, right? Give yourself 10 minutes to start. Make it inviting so that you want to come back. Every single time. You're going to come back to 10-minute practice. You come back to that for a daily ritual, right? For many years to come. If you're like, I have to sit down and do this for an hour, you might abandon that a weekend. And then decide that you don't finish things and you're not good at following through. Okay? That's it. That's the outside part that we're going to try to make a little bit more beautiful. Now, here's the good stuff. So almost all of this idea that we're talking about, make it beautiful so that you want to come back, is internal. So you could do this on the back of an envelope with a big pen in your parked car, and it could still be beautiful if you do these next 4 things. And they cost you nothing, by the way. And nobody gets to opt out of this part, all right? So I want you to slow your breath down first. So you're in your spot, you've got your things, you're going to slow your breath down first. And just think about arriving somewhere at a sprint, right? Like you're running in, you're rushing in, you sit down, and then you start riding. No, we want to ground ourselves first. We want to become present with what is. So we want to give ourselves this beauty, right? Imagine it being a really nice way to help you relax at the end of the day instead of using your alcohol. So you get into your breath, you get into your body, you take 3 deep breaths. Right? 3 deep breaths. Make the exhale longer than the inhale. Feel your feet on the floor. Drop your shoulders. If they're up by your ears, drop them. So give yourself 10, 15 seconds coming into yourself, coming into your body, and you've changed the whole energy for yourself from the inside. And this is going to feel really strange for you, but I want you to do it anyway. When you sit down, thank yourself for coming. Thanks for connecting with me today. Thank you for letting me be here in the present with you. So think about when you go to a yoga practice or you go to something special, right? They're like, thank you for coming. It's so good to see you. Go over to somebody's house, they open the door. It's so good to see you. Thank you so much for coming. That's what we want to do for ourselves. So out loud, you can do it in your head, you can write it at the top of your nice journal, however you want to do it. But first things first, thank you for connecting with me today. Thank you for being present in this moment. And I want to be very specific about the gratitude part here, because a lot of you want to swap in good job and like give yourself a little pat on the back. And we've had plenty of those in our lives, right? We've been like, sort of like, am I good or am I bad for our whole lives? And it doesn't help to stop over drinking. Okay. Thank you is what you say to someone you're in a relationship with, someone who showed up when they didn't have to, right? There's gratitude. That's who's sitting in the chair with you right now. That sentence is the first line of a completely different relationship with yourself. Okay, so make it beautiful. Thank you, Angela, for coming here today. The next thing is being gentle when you're in there. And this is huge. You can have the pretty notebook and the whole thing set up, and you can ground yourself with your deep breaths. And the second you start writing and it turns into like, I did this wrong and I did this wrong and why can't I finish this and and you start berating yourself, that would be kind of unmotivating for you to come back to, right? So I want you to start by asking yourself, if my friend wrote this about herself, what would I feel reading it? You can still tell yourself the truth, but look at how you're telling yourself the truth. I'm not telling you to like only think positive thoughts. I hate that shit. Okay? You need to tell yourself the truth, but there is a quality in which you can do that feels more curious and open versus like judgmental and shameful. Okay? You're not going to keep coming back to this practice if it feels so difficult. I was talking to my husband today. He hired a personal trainer here in Lisbon. I'm so excited for him because I love my husband, and he doesn't push himself physically very often. I think he did when he was younger, but I have never really seen him go for it or like train for something. And he joined this gym, and it came with a personal training session, one free one, and they do a full body assessment. Like they make you stand on the body composition scale, and it measures your body fat and your muscle and all these things. And the guy told Pete, we need to start right away. We got to go. We got to do this and this and this and this. And it's expensive. Pete came home and he said, I don't think we can do it. I'm like, oh, I think we should do it. Like, we need to invest into your health. Like, this is your life. This is your body. If there's any investment to make, this is a good one. And so he went ahead with it. And he's had 2 sessions, and he called me after his session today. And I was like, so how was your workout? He's like, oh boy. I'm like, tell me. And he's like, well, he made me do burpees. And I just started laughing. And he's like, and he made me do these squats with a barbell on my back with weights on it. And then he added more weight. I'm like, oh my God. Like I'm like a little bit evil, you guys. I think you probably know that by now if you've been listening for a while, but I pleasure in watching people do hard things and overcome it. Like I watch my clients do this. I push them on our retreats. I love watching my husband be uncomfortable and like come out on the other side of that. And so the kids and I are always laughing about if we ever see Pete run, it's really funny because it's so unusual. So we always laugh because it like looks like this unnatural thing. I know I'm not being very nice myself right now, but stick with me. After my yoga class today, I was thinking about like, God, Pete he wasn't like, this wasn't a beautiful thing, right? So I wonder, I'm going to talk to him about this later, like at the end of his workout, do they slow it down? Do they do some gratitude for themselves and get into their body and like, let that be a 5 or 10 minute practice of stretching and slowly acknowledging the work that your body just did and like ending on a high note so that we want to come back to it. I'm curious because I probably didn't do that, right? Like a lot of times these practices focuses on the end goal. We want to lose fat, we want to gain muscle, we want an outcome, right? And I think the outcome should be consistency, especially when you are changing your relationship with alcohol. So that's why we want to make this beautiful, because we want to be consistent. And when you're consistent, that's when things change. Okay. And it's more enjoyable and more fun. Okay. So coming back to this, we want to what happens with a lot of these stops and starts that most people have with changing their relationship with alcohol or any behavioral change is that it gets hard, we make a mistake, and then we back off. And imagine if we, did the work, we decided to make it beautiful, and we liked returning to it, even when we make a mistake, because we knew we weren't going to judge ourselves and shame ourselves, but there was something in there for us to learn. We would keep coming back to it. And then over time, because of that consistency, that you're changing. Okay? And I know like this gentleness sounds soft, exactly what I'm talking about, like with Pete in the gym. A lot of people don't associate productivity with that, but it actually prompts you to keep coming back. And that's where the biggest changes are met. It's really not how hard you lift or how long you can white knuckle through that urge or grit your teeth and not drink. It's about consistency. And making something beautiful helps you become more consistent. So after you do your journaling, after you do your worksheet, after you do your discovery about whatever the work you're actually doing to change your relationship with alcohol, right? If you're in a live AF, if you're in transformation program, if you're one of my private coaching clients, you know what that entails. After your daily session with yourself, I want you to thank yourself again as you wrap up the session. So just as you came into the session in a beautiful way and you grounded yourself and you said, thank you for being with me today, the way you end a session with yourself decides whether you decide to come back to it or not. Okay, so I also think about walking the Camino. At the end of every day, I put my feet up the wall. I took a shower. I washed my clothes. I fed my body. So do you know that in the next day, it made it easier for me to want to go back to the grueling? It really wasn't grueling. It was painful at times because of my backpack, but overall, it was a wonderful experience. But because of our ritual that we figured out sort of on the fly at the end of every day, I looked forward to that. Okay? Even though the middle of it was hard. The beginning was easy, having our coffee, waking up in the morning, it's all beautiful, nobody's in pain. The middle is hard, just like a workout, right? Just like processing urges. If you think about in the morning, it's easy to not drink. Your mind isn't thinking about drinking, you're thinking about the other things, right? The day might be hard, you might have to work, you might have to be managing all the challenges of your life, right? And the end of the day can be equally as hard to be willing to show up for yourself, right? But how you end that day, how you show up for yourself in that moment, is it beautiful? Thank yourself at the end of the day. Set yourself up for success for the next day by showing yourself some gratitude. So don't end on the worst sentence. Don't let your mind just float away and be like, I guess I'll just try again tomorrow. We'll see what happens, right? Don't close the notebook mid-spiral and walk away and leave it sitting there for this tomorrow that probably won't happen. Take one more minute, 3 more slow breaths, write down what you noticed, and then thank yourself again. It could sound like that was hard. You stayed. Thank you, Angela. Thank you, Beth. Thank you, Cindy. Thank you, Sarah. Okay? Leave the room in that container that you created beautiful so that you want to walk back into it. The next thing I want to talk about is the harder stuff. So I touched on a little bit just now, but the deep emotions that we feel like we can't sit with sometimes. It could be grief. You could be having a difficult marriage. You could be dealing with elderly parents that are declining. Your kids might be going through something really bad, right? So the feeling that you're in around those things doesn't have to be pretty, right? You don't have to tell yourself beautiful things. All you have to do is set yourself up so that the container in which you're in these feelings does feel beautiful. When you sit down to process, maybe you're doing stop, notice, and process. Maybe giving yourself 10 to 15 minutes just to process what is happening for you. You give yourself a nice cozy blanket, right? You give yourself that spaciousness where you're not going to be interrupted. You walk into that container in which you're going to stop, notice, and process with love, okay? There's some dignity for yourself in that. And it's not like, oh, I have to do this, or, shaming yourself for feeling the way you do. right? All of your feelings are valid. And that's what you have to tell yourself. Like, it's okay that I feel this way. Even though this is very challenging for me, it's okay that I feel this way. And so when you do that, and then all of a sudden you get triggered and you're hit with these intense feelings, wherever you are, in the middle of your day, in the middle of a yoga session, in the middle of a conversation, somebody says something to you that just like, boom, it hits that spot, you know that it's safe to be here and then it's okay for you to be here. And because you've made it this beautiful practice for yourself to allow yourself to be with those feelings. Okay? And you sit with this and that sensation in your body and with yourself, and you tell yourself it's okay that I feel this way. You don't get up, you just take a breath, right? And it will move through you. I witnessed this also in yoga today, this beautiful moment. One of my friends who is grieving right now goes to yoga almost as much as I do, or as much as I do. I met her there. She's a wonderful woman. And I didn't notice it. She was practicing right next to me, but she was apparently grieving the loss of her husband at the beginning of the practice. And then at the end of the practice, as we're wrapping up, I noticed that she is sobbing next to me. And so I pick up her blocks, I go put them away, and then I just go over there and give her a hug. And it was so beautiful because she just let herself, in that moment, met herself right there. It's not perfect timing. She didn't have the privacy of her own home to just let herself go. And she cried. And I just held her and I just breathed with her and I said, it's okay. And let her have that moment. And it was beautiful. It was so beautiful. And I thought about this afterwards, and I actually sent her a note, how she has created a space for that grief that feels safe for it to come in no matter where she is. That's what I'm talking about here. Right? She's not saying, no, I shouldn't feel this way right now. There's too many people around. I just did this yoga. It was beautiful. I shouldn't feel this way. I can't feel this until I get home. She did not do that. She just let it come up and through her. And by the time she went and got her stuff, she was, over it. Like, not over it, obviously, but that intense moment had moved through her. And she didn't judge herself one bit for it at all. It just happens. Okay? And when you can get to that place with your emotions and this practice, your life will become so much better. Your emotions won't become problems. They won't be something that you have to go home and escape from or judge yourself about. Okay? So the idea is that you can make processing your feelings and sitting with the work to stop over drinking and being with those urges and untangling the relationship that you have with alcohol and yourself doesn't have to be an ugly thing. It can be beautiful, but it's up to you and your conscious higher self to make it so. Okay? Making the work beautiful is the work. A lot of people say, well, do I have to keep writing a drink plan? Or do I have to keep journaling? And do I have to keep doing these things forever? Why the heck wouldn't you want to if it's beautiful? Right? This is work that I continue to do. I'm constantly evaluating my thinking and processing what I'm learning and applying in real time and, being intentional about how I spend my time and how I move through my life. And why not? Because the benefits outweigh that little amount of time that I'm putting into it. And so that's what I want you to think about as you think about doing the work. Make it beautiful so that you want to return. Make it more enjoyable so that you can be consistent. When you're consistent, you actually make progress. That's just the unsexy part of it. Okay? So for this week, one thing you're going to do, 3 slow breaths before you start. You can pick one of these. Long exhale. Say thank you to yourself when you sit down and you engage with the actual work of changing your relationship with alcohol. After you process an urge, thank you for allowing that feeling of desire and the urge to be here without reacting to it. Thank you. Okay? Cut your practice in half. Maybe you're spending too much time diving into things. Another idea, spend the last 60 seconds leaving your practice of doing the work, leaving it beautiful for how you want to return to it the next day. Just one. Okay? Pick one of those and then come back the next day and notice whether it's easy to walk into that work or not. and I will talk to you guys soon. All right, my friends, make it beautiful so that you want to come back. And if you want to do this work for me in this new seasonal change, go look at the link for the transformation program, and we can do this together. All right, friends, we'll talk to you next week. Bye for now.